What was the date that we went on to the restaurant?
Which restaurant are you talking about?
The one in Rancho Bernardo that we were sitting there and because that was part of this book too.
So we had 2 blow-ups.
Yes, every single week. We only got to week 3, and every single week we had an argument over this book.
Well, this is going to be interesting because you think I'm talking about one thing.
Oh,
I'm
no.
talking about something different.
No, this is great because this is going to refresh my memory because I was totally thinking of a different date. Okay, go.
Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. We are so glad that you came back to join us, and we sincerely appreciate that you come back and you hang out with us, and because all we're trying to do is encourage couples, because if you didn't know this already, we're all imperfectly married. And so we're just encouraging people that that's okay, and you can have a really great marriage in the midst of that. And before we get started, though.
But I also want to say, I'm going to cut you off because if you're new here and this is your first time listening,
great.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Michael and Heather.
Hi.
And we're super excited that you're here.
Yeah.
We've been married for 27 years.
Yeah, I was coming in hot. I was going to be like, come on now.
And the reason that we started the podcast was because we are imperfect people that just happened to fall in love.
That's true. And we maintain that, but it takes work.
Yep.
It takes work. And so that's what we're here to say. But before we continue,
okay.
I want to promote 2 things. Actually, 3 things. Just right up, yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So not only do we do this, the Imperfectly Married podcast, Imperfectly Married, the podcast, get it straight. I always have a problem with that. I'm always the one.
You have a big problem with
I know,
it.
because it's the podcast. Anyway, not only do we do this, but we both have our own kind of expressions and podcasts too. The first being hers, since she's a life coach and wellness coach and Enneagram coach, and she's a coach. Yeah. But honey, tell us about yours.
So it's called Imperfectly Fed and Fit. And we talk about after 40, how hormones hit and everything just starts kind of like messing up the woman's bodies.
It does.
And so I just focus on giving tools and equipping and helping people reach their maximum health and wellness in the midst of perimenopause and just our bodies just kind of going out of whack. So it's called Imperfectly Fed and Fit because you can be fed and fit and imperfect all at the same time.
Oh, did you see the connection there? Yeah. So you can get those on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Now, for me, I have something called the Encouragement Experiment. And basically what it is just the Bible talks about you should encourage each other every day. I'm an encourager. I need encouragement. And so what I do is once a week, I just do short little videos that encourage people. And so you can check that out. It's called the Encouragement Experiment. You can find that on, again, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So go check those out. We'd love you to experience those. The last is something exciting that's happening here in the next week and a half, and that's the Rhythm Marriage Conference. So if you're here in Southern California, go to our socials, Imperfectly Married, go to our socials, and you'll see the Rhythm Conference. Now, this is, of course, since we're partnering as being a part of it, is it going to be different than other ones? Yes, in the sense that both of the couples that are doing it, us and the pastors that we go to church with, we've been to several marriage conferences and things. So we're wanting to do it a little bit differently, and we're really excited for this to happen. And so we want to invite you. So
what's different about it?
Well, the fact that the idea of rhythm, right? The idea of rhythm is finding that in marriage, there is a rhythm to your relationship. One of the things that we've experienced when we've gone to conferences before, and maybe it's just me, but there's a tendency for one or the other of the spouses to kind of feel shame. And it's like, here's a list of things that you need to do better. And that's not the type of vibe that we're going for. What we're going for is the fact that you're here, you're already winning. And then we're just going to walk through how you can, no matter where you are in marriage, how you can find your rhythm again and go from a fine or good marriage to a great one.
So what I love about what you just said is that it actually sets us up for our podcast episode.
It does. Oh, well, here we go. Okay, so May 29th and 30th. So if you're interested, please go to our socials. Okay, now that that's over, okay.
The commercial is done.
The commercial's done. And so we're going to get into the podcast. But to start off, I'm not going to give you a subject. Now, we do have a book sitting here on the table. You probably see that if you're watching on the video. We'll get to that in a second because it means something. But I want to go back a couple years.
Okay.
And so we are at a church. We started relatively recent, I think, when this particular episode happened. We had been there for a little bit, but not too much. And there was an opportunity for a small group or life group, whatever you want to call it. And it was going through this particular book called 8 Dates. And it's by the Gottmans. You know that we love the Gottmans. We're big supporters of them. And the idea of the book is really to have conversations. It's like 8 dates. And so it's encouraging communication. What?
Right.
Yeah. It's encouraging communication. And so we decided, okay, let's go ahead and take this life group class. Like it's great. Well, we're in the class, we're doing it. And the idea is you get together, you kind of talk about it. And then you would, throughout the week, you would do the date or whatever the thing would be. This particular date was to have kind of a romantic date. And the dates were kind of set up kind of however you wanted them. It's just you had it like a subject that you would go through. You would have, you're starting to smile. Why are you smiling?
Because do you remember the subject of this one?
Yes.
What?
We were talking about physical intimacy, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because that's my favorite subject. So I was like really excited about it.
Okay. So we were going to have this date and we decided to do it at home and I was going to cook. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this.
Yes, I know. We were outside. We were at our big thing. I was cooking some of the meal. You were cooking other parts of the meal. And the point of the date was to talk about intimate, what you like sexually, really talk about intimate things and questions. You seem confused.
What was the date that we went on to the restaurant?
Which restaurant are you talking about?
The one in Rancho Bernardo that we were sitting there and because that was part of this book too.
So we had 2 blow-ups.
Yes, every single week. We only got to week 3, and every single week we had an argument over this book.
Well, this is going to be interesting because you think I'm talking about one thing. I'm talking about something different.
No, this is great because this is going to refresh my memory because I was totally thinking of a different date. Okay, go.
Okay. So
yes.
So we
were going to cook the meal together.
Yeah,
I totally remember this now.
I would do I do my part and you did your part and we were out there and we got dressed up. It was kind of a nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
oh my gosh.
I don't remember yours, so you're gonna have to tell me because I don't rember this one. But this is the one that to me this episode really spans from because it led to some greater things. Anyway, so we get to the conversation. I'm already a little bit stressed out because I want to make sure to cook what I'm cooking right, and I'm not the cook of the family. She is. All kind of barbecue. All kind of struggle through barbecuing anyway. So we got it all together, and then we had questions to talk about. And
so I want to talk about, so the premise of the book is that you read the chapter and then you have a specific date that you are like, they give you a couple different date ideas. And then during the date, you have these topics and questions that you're supposed to talk about throughout the date. And so it's like, you can either talk about them like all throughout. You can have like a formal thing. Like it can be just kind of like fluid that you put your own spin on it. But you do have these questions that you're supposed to go over because we've both read the chapters of the book.
Yeah. And they do, the book does a great job about giving you basically what your vibe is. How does your relationship work? And it just kind of gives you some room, but it gives you a topic and some questions. And so this particular one, we were going through intimate kind of things. I was already having trouble in the sense of, we've talked about this in a prior episode about sexual and physical intimacy, where we don't necessarily, like, our frequency isn't as much as people may think. And then also, as part of our marriage, we've had difficulties of my lack of initiation, where we kind of call that back all the way, to some rejection back 30 years ago that I've kind of carried with me the whole time. And what was stuck in my mind is I have all of these things in my head. I'm not good sexually. I don't pursue her. She's not satisfied. And so I'm already carrying this into this conversation. And I'm really trying. I feel like I'm really trying. But then there came a point of, it was like analysis paralysis, where I couldn't even answer and come up with answers to questions, because it was almost like I was starting to feel like it was our first date. I was so uncomfortable because I couldn't. Already felt like I was failing, and now we get to talk about it. And this is all happening internally, and it fell apart. I mean, it fell apart. And
because your body language was communicating. I remember you sitting there and you had your hands in your lap and you were like,
weak little boy.
Yes, it was very interesting because I had never really seen you show up in that kind of way. Like I've seen you in situations of where you feel uncomfortable, but to be like shrinking in and like hunched over and like really uncomfortable to talk about something that we always talk about. Like I came in and I was excited. I was like, I was like, we're going to have sex tonight because we're talking about fun things. We're going to have a romantic dinner. I had the candles, like
the whole thing.
It was a vibe, and I was all there for it.
It didn't take but a question and a half for you to realize
that this was not happening the way that I thought.
Yeah. And I was really failing at the, I was falling victim to expectation that I'm putting on myself. And all I could hear in me was, you're not doing it right. Mm-hmm. Here you go. You're failing again. And you're going to get rejected anyway because you did it wrong. And that then, I don't know that I've ever had it overtake me as much as it did that day. So much so to where I had a physical reaction to, this is how I was sitting. It was just, I was absolutely defeated in my ability to be able to meet what I thought was your need and your expectation.
I think really what it was is that you were feeling in that moment extremely exposed in, like, it was like your failures were like out on the table.
Oh yeah, we're just going to talk about those. Let's just talk about that.
And that's because it's like the way that you were positioned in your body was almost like very shameful, and it was very like I'm not measuring up, and I'm not doing a great job, and so it was very exposing to you, where I was like really expectant and coming in just really light, and then it was and it was really interesting because it's like I was really looking forward to having this conversation, and because a lot of the questions it was like these are things that it's like we probably needed to talk about, and so it's like I was really like excited and hopeful, and then you were coming in very like different. But I also think that it's like that's how a lot of times we show up when we're working in our marriage. One person is usually really excited to work on things and really wants to, and the other person kind of like immediately thinks that the things that they're failing at or that they're not doing well are going to be exposed. And it's not like that safe environment for them. And so I think that that's why this is such a valuable conversation. And it's like, as much as like we're pointing out that this book was the pivotal part, this book is a great book.
It's absolutely a great book.
And we would highly recommend it to everyone. But what it did is it brought up something that we were both walking through in that moment, that it really helped propel us towards something, but this book was that tool. Yeah, no,
it absolutely was, and it's absolutely necessary. What I think is interesting is even in what all of the things that you said, we probably needed to have the discussion anyway. And it just turned my stomach just now because it just there's still a little bit of me that's like there's areas there that are not that are not where I think you would want them to be. And so the fact that because words are important to me. When you say need, what that does to me is it confirms my belief of the thing that I was failing in. And that actually leads me into the realities of what's happening, which was, okay, we have this, because the date fell apart. It fell apart. And what we mean by fell apart, it was just she made note, like, why are you sitting like that? And then from there, it just kind of went sideways in a way of like, it didn't work out. But apparently we had another day that didn't work out either. I'm interested to hear about that. Wow. Should you be listening to this podcast? So fast forward, I don't know how long it was, but fast forward to, we were having a prep session at one of our favorite wineries that we were at. And we were prepping about just,
podcast stuff.
Yeah, podcast stuff. And we were having a conversation. We were going back and forth about certain subjects and stuff like that. And the subject came up of, I don't know how it started, but it was talking about, because I'll give you a little insight into our marriage. We used to have an annual speed bump. And that speed bump in our marriage was where you would express that you were feeling lack in my ability to provide for your needs, to pursue you, to all of the things that you need as a human and as a spouse. And it was an annual thing. It would happen. And I knew it, and the normal pace would be there would be some you would express that, and then I would feel bad and guilty, and then I'd try a little bit, but then it would it would kind of fall off, and then you can tell me if I'm wrong. You just kind of had to deal with all of the things that you weren't getting, and just kind of finding other ways to find satisfaction in certain thing, whatever. No.
Yeah. I mean, you still have an idea of how
Okay.
of how horrible it was for me, but it wasn't it wasn't quite how you're describing it, but sure.
Okay.
You can continue.
Okay. See? This is the point of this whole episode. So anyway, that particular annual speed bump fight argument was something that kind of came up in a roundabout way as we were sitting at this winery. And we weren't necessarily talking about that, but we were talking about the topics that were within that. And what came up was, you asked me a very pointed question that I can't put words on it, but you wanted me to describe to you how I thought you thought about us and our relationship and everything like that. Almost makes me cry now. Because what I described was something very, very, I don't measure up. All of the things that are normal to my, I'm starting to sweat. That's terrible. That are normal to my being me and Michael Brown and all that kind of stuff. And your response to that was similar to, that couldn't be further from the truth. And then you went on to describe truly what you thought, felt, experienced. What happened in that moment for me was, I've never felt a I don't know. I can only describe it as an emotional weight. I've never felt an emotional weight actually lift before.
Mm.
And I could tell it wasn't something that you were just telling me out of just want to make you
Like
feel
pity.
good. Yeah, like you were because I know your cadence of speech when you believe something. And what you described to me was, again, something very different than what I've been holding. And friends, I can't tell you how long I've carried that belief. And the reason why there was an annual thing, at least in my mind, that came up was because I had a narrative
Mm-hmm.
about our marriage, what you thought about me, what you thought about our marriage, and that turned into now my firm belief. This is the foundation that now I see everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so in every moment, every day, every year, I was unconsciously looking to prove and validate that narrative and that belief. And so it was something that was revealed to me that was so clear that it was almost like that you see your whole life flash. And it was like, you mean this particular time? That was just, me seeing my own narrative, but it wasn't that. And then looking at another period and go, wait, that means that actually wasn't how I always saw it, but it was actually like this. And so many times, and the reason why I wanted to do this episode is because that is a reality for a lot of marriages. And what begins to happen, well, before I start to continue to start talking, I wanted to ask you a couple questions because one, I wanted you to explain what you were feeling during the date a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then talk a little bit about did you know I was carrying that? Did you did it surprise you? How are you feeling? Just give me your kind of perspective and all that.
Yeah, during the date, it was really interesting because it was like I could tell that something was weighing on you, but I had no idea. There was something going on that I wasn't aware of, and I thought that it was me.
Oh, geez.
And so it's like,
gosh, look at that.
It's
Wow.
like, I think what happens is that when one spouse is off, we create our own narratives of what that must mean about me. And so it's like, so now I've had this narrative in my head that I'm not worthy of pursuit. And then the one time that this is supposed to be easy and light.
Oh, I remember that. This was a shoo-in. This was easy.
It was setting you up for like the home run.
Yeah, like this is going to happen. You just got to show up. Like that's all you got to do.
And so it's like, for me, it's like, I was like, oh, this is like everything that I want. Like I get to because part of the issue is that it's like, you're not a very romantic person. And so it's like, we've had like these conversations and I was like, great, I get to plan the date. So it's like, I get to set up like this really romantic thing. Yeah. And so then all you literally have to do is cook the steaks and show up.
Yep.
And I was like, and then we get to have conversations. So it's like, then we get to like be like emotionally intimate, and then it'll lead to physical intimacy. And so I was like, this is like the perfect scenario and situation. So,
which was beautifully set up by this book, by the way.
Yeah. So if you really want like
a shoe-in,
just skip to chapter 3.
Yeah, there you go. You're there.
And so it was really interesting because I then attached the new narrative. And so like that was one hurdle that I had to get over, was that it's like, oh, even when it's easy and set up, I'm still not worthy of that pursuit.
Wow.
So that was really difficult for me, but we talked that out, and it's like, I think that I communicated that at that point. And so that was one of the hardest parts for me, is that I was just confused by the response. And then fast forward a couple years later, when we're at the winery, I had always known that you had carried a story, a narrative, but I had never heard you actually communicate it, because it was just something that, like, I always heard the same tone and the same voice. And it was really because we were also talking about the Enneagram and that internal critic. Right. And so for the Enneagram, Michael's a type 1, and he has like an inner voice, an inner critic that is constantly berating him. Yeah. And so in our discussion, I felt quickened by the Spirit, which we're faith-based, and I believe that was from God, to speak directly to that inner critic. And so that's when I went and I was just like, no, like, actually, this is the truth, and how, like, these are the lies that you've believed, and this is actually the truth. And it was really, I do remember that moment. Like, it was interesting because I couldn't even remember the conversation that we had. And as you were speaking, I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. That's what it was. Because I really, truly believe that it's like the words that I were speaking were directly from the Spirit. It was not from, I mean, it is me, and I believe those things, but I believe that God wanted to do a bigger work in you, because he needed to heal and break off some of those lies. Because when we believe lies, our beliefs cause our behavior. They do. So our behavior follows our beliefs. So whatever we're believing about a certain situation, about a person, about a conflict, even about your job, anything, your behavior follows. So if you believe that you're really great at something, you walk in that confidence and you walk without authority. But if you believe that you really suck at something, you shrink and you get small and you get weak, and you don't feel like you can overcome, because your belief is that it's like, I'm never going to conquer that. So what I believed in that moment is that I needed to speak truth to that, to give you the courage to be able to overcome those big lies that had held you back from your full potential for so many years.
And in that moment, absolutely did. And it was all spurred on by conversation.
Wait, and what?
I know.
Like, it's almost like communication is so, like,
that important,
vital for a marriage.
It almost seems like that. And I think about it now, and I go, why had I not voiced those things before, to hear your response to what I believed? But I mean, I think I can answer that, because I was fearing that they could be right.
But I will say this: voicing your fears in small little chunks, because that's what you had done over the years. Like, oh, I'm not worthy. Like, I don't do this right. And what you would do is you would kind of breadcrumb it out, and you would say, oh, da 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 da, and then you would wait for my response. And if my response wasn't like direct in that moment, then it's like that would just confirm your belief. And so the problem with breadcrumbing things is that you're looking for a response, and if the response doesn't match what you actually need in that moment, then it just affirms and you just keep on walking, and now that belief is getting stronger and stronger. But what happened that day is, I actually think that you were open to hearing in the fullness of what I was saying, because what you had done is you had actually exposed it all, like all of the, I keep on calling it lies, but it was your belief in that moment.
Absolutely.
And so you actually spilled it all out. And what we always say is like, we vomit it.
Yeah, we did.
And it's like, what you did is you vomited it. And then I was able to speak to the fullness of the lie.
That's a great point.
And that's what I think caused it to break. And I think that creating those pockets and those moments and that space to be able to be safe and vomit it all creates an opportunity to also heal it all. If we're looking and just dropping breadcrumbs, it's like you're not eating the whole cake. The cake isn't exposed because it's like just a couple crumbs here and there. But it's like when
it's likely not an intentional conversation to where the other spouse would know you're looking for something from me, not in the middle of like an argument where you go, I'm just not good enough, and it's, or whatever, you know.
And it's so interesting because when you just drop a couple lies, your spouse may not pick up that it's like you're needing something.
Totally.
Like I never really realized that it's like, oh, like I almost thought that it was, I love you, but but I thought that it was like you were just dropping those things as pity so that then I could be like, oh babe, it's okay. And so
they were leaking out is what was happening.
But that's something that it's like I wasn't aware of. So then it's like then now I feel bad because now your lie is now okay, now he feels bad and I feel bad and it becomes this weird cycle that isn't actually healing. And so
just stirs it up.
So what I love about what ended up happening because of this book was years later, we were actually able to speak directly to those lies that you had believed and hopefully cover some of it. Now, when you speak truth to a lie, it's like that lie is still there unless you do the work to like keep on like nurturing it. Yeah. And it's like, because the truth is that it's like, we all fall short. Like, I'm an imperfect human. You're an imperfect human. So we're always going to have gaps in our relationship. We're always going to have gaps in our humanity.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's because we love each other that love covers those things. And speaking back to when you were talking earlier, that it's like this was a speed bump that we happen to have every year. It's like today we don't have that speed bump.
No, we don't.
And it's not because anything has changed, but it's because I have placed my hope and my dreams and my like everything in something greater. And I no longer need you to fill these earthly desires in me because I'm able to find those things not elsewhere, but I'm just able to find satisfaction and healing in my own life to where it's like I'm not looking for people or you to fill things in me because I am trying and always working on finding my self-confidence and my who I am in the Lord.
Yeah.
And it makes me cry just because it's so hard to do that work.
No, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And it's thanks for sharing that to our audience. And I know those things, but it's very sweet. But that is something that in this human experience that we're having, if you don't have a relationship with God,
it's tough.
It's very difficult because you are looking for your significant other to be your savior, to be the one that is carrying the weight of certain needs that were never your spouse's to carry. Mm-hmm. And in our case, even if I knew that or not, I would always want to meet them, mm-hmm. but struggled at meeting them, right? And I find that this reality is no doubt happening through marriages today because it's a very quiet, destructive method because in relationships, a lot of times you could be reacting to stories which reacting to stories that were never verbalized. And so all of this time, I've been operating in almost a different world than you were.
Yeah.
And never bringing it up because that was scary for me. It's just fear of failure. I couldn't, I didn't want to feel. It's weird because I firmly believed them, but I feared bringing them up because I didn't want it to be true, yet I operated as if it was.
No, that's good.
You know, isn't that interesting? Even as I'm talking about it now, I go, I already operated in the world that everything that I thought that you thought was true, yet I feared bringing it up because I didn't want to hear you say, well, yeah, that's true. And so I completely avoided it. And then that became my new normal. And that's what happens. That because of fear and not wanting to have that that conversation, the new normal now was I'm going to live in this internal box that is constantly berating my life. But that was more comfortable for me than actually confronting the person to whom I feel thinks those things. And when I look at it from the benefit of hindsight, looking back, it's my wife would never think those things about me. Never. Even if something slipped out 27 years ago that I created a narrative from, and that's totally what it totally was, just one moment in time. And it's like, I created a great story. Living within that cage for so long, it stole life. And it stole a lot of life. And because the things, I mean, the assumptions that came from that, the insecurities that came from that, the old wounds that were actually a result of wrong thinking. It wasn't even a wound. I created the wound because of how I was listening was through a filter, right? And I mean, I have this internal critic that is always, and that's just my personality. But my fear is always being wrong or not good or morally deficient or all of these things. And so I would constantly be comparing myself to other husbands that seemed to be able to do the things that I couldn't do so readily, just like, boom. You know, so many times when I would talk to other men, the response would be, just do it.
It even happened in a small group, in a different small group.
Oh, yeah.
That
Ooh,
we
man.
were talking about these issues, and someone was just like, well, Michael, I don't understand why you just can't do it. And it was like, whoa, like even I stepped in and was like, time out. Like, you actually don't know what you're saying.
Oh,
because
I
it's not just you being able to will yourself to do something. It's like, because your belief was so strong.
Control everything. Yeah.
That it's that filter that your behavior now follows. So you were never going to be capable of doing any of those things because your belief was so strong. And I just want to also add in there that one of the most dangerous things is if you have this strong belief, now imagine if someone of the opposite sex now comes in and starts speaking positive things to that of like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. You're so attentive. You're so, and now all of a sudden you're getting that affirmation from someone else.
That you're not getting from your spouse.
Yes.
Holy garbage.
So now
Dang,
you can
that's good.
see how those affairs start happening, and your attention now quickly goes to someone else. Some other opposite sex is now actually speaking against the lie that you now believe, and now you're getting that affirmation that you so needed from your spouse. But because you were never revealing the lie to your spouse, you unknowingly know that someone else is speaking that truth. And so now your attention is going to be pulled that way and not towards your spouse, because you're so scared of actually revealing these deep things.
And the spouse never had a chance to actually fill that lack that you felt.
Absolutely.
See, one of the greatest strategies of the enemy to our souls is silence in marriage. Just keep it quiet.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't expose it.
Don't expose it, because you're right. You're going to get blasted. They're going to confirm the things that you're afraid of. All of the things that you fear, the enemy is going, you're right. I'd fear that too.
Yeah.
You don't want to put that out there. Just hold it yourself. Don't worry. You're fine. You're strong enough to deal with it on your own. Yeah. You don't need your spouse to know that you're this way, because that's not going to be good. I mean, imagine that. And I think, okay, I want to give a couple questions to our audience of maybe what they can ask themselves if they find maybe you are the spouse that has this narrative on how you think your spouse sees your marriage, or maybe you suspect it in your spouse. And so there's things like this. What story have I or they been believing about you or the other spouse? What story have they been believing? You can also ask, have I ever actually verified it? Right? Has it been like, have I verified what I'm feeling? Have I verified it with you? Well, had I done that, I would have found out years ago that wasn't the case. And then, am I reacting to reality, or am I reacting to fear? Now, my answer to that is I was always reacting to fear, because I was looking for you to confirm what I already believed, and I'd find it. I was very good at finding it.
Through
in tone, in look, in everything. I was a good investigator. I could find it.
In our conversation, we realized that there were a couple instances that it's like you had asked me something and I had looked at you a certain way, and you were like,
there it is.
See?
Belief.
And
confirmed.
What's interesting is that when we talked about it, I was actually confused at why you were asking that. Or so the facial expression was actually confusion of just like, wait, what's happening right now? Something like, I can't remember the exact instances, but it was like, I remember it being confused, and yours was like confirmation.
Yeah. See,
and so,
there it is.
So it's very interesting that it's like when we are communicating in so many other ways that can like also create a narrative to a story.
The marriage, so many times, I would say in many households and many relationships, the marriage that you are reacting to is often the one that you've created in your head. And then that's the world that you're living from. I mean, I can tangibly know that because I didn't know it in the midst. I was just like, I'm the truth detector. I know what's true.
Right.
And so when it was confirmed, it was like, okay, well, there it is. I knew that.
And what's interesting though is I do think that your narrative, and I'm not saying yours, but a narrative and a story that is manufactured in our heads about our marriage or about any relationship that we have is really subtle, to where when the question is posed, what story, it's like we have to start asking ourselves like about, like, is there a story about, you know, our physical intimacy? Is there a story about our finances? Is there a story about our kids and our parenting and our child really rearing?
That's good input.
Where is the story that is maybe like skewed a little bit? Because we have to kind of like break it down into chunks, because I don't think that you actually knew the story that you were telling yourself was false because it was so strong for you that it was true and it was valid and it was accurate.
And when you believe it long enough, it becomes truth. You can't avoid that.
It's a part of who you
absolutely.
are.
It's DNA almost.
And so really dissecting all of these areas, and that's why getting like marriage tools that help you have conversations about all of the different areas in your relationship do really help.
Absolutely.
And it's when we start using these marriage tools as weapons against each other that it can be damaging. So it's like, go into like books like this with an open heart and an open mind, but also knowing that it's like the spouse, like if I would have done this book differently, I would have recognized going into this that this was something that I was excited about because this book was fun. It was dates, it was conversation. So I went into this like really excited, not knowing that this could be a tool that defenses would rise up and that it's like, well, now every single week I have to feel how awful I am at our marriage or at whatever.
Oh, from day one, that was scary for me.
Exactly. And so that's where it's like, if I was a little bit more sensitive to that instead of just looking at it on what it was going to do to me, because I was really excited about it. I was like, oh, so fun.
Yeah,
but I wish that I would have come and approached this book in more of a way of, yes, it can be fun, but it might only be fun for me and not for you. So I would have been a little bit more gentler in, I still think that we should have done it.
Absolutely.
And continued it.
Yeah, because we bailed out.
Because we bailed out.
Yeah, we bailed out. That's as far as we got.
The book page is still marked at chapter 3.
Yeah, and done.
And we never went back to that small group.
We did not. We did not. It was just like, sorry, guys, we're not at a place to make it through this.
But that was okay because that's where we were.
But that's informative.
And
that's helpful.
And that is what we did, is that we decided that we were not in a season to be able to go any further, and that what was being brought up was just one small rock in the big jar of the things that we were dealing with at that point. And this could easily be tabled because we looked at each other, we were like, okay, we have a good marriage, but this book is bringing up stuff that it's like we're not ready for yet.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was we tabled the book and we didn't revisit it. But what we ended up doing is we ended up having a lot of conversations about other things that, in all honesty, I think probably accomplished what the book would have accomplished at the end.
Likely so, yeah.
And we just did it through natural conversation and through us like looking at each other and working out some things between us.
And then started a podcast.
On marriage. And here we are. Maybe we should go to chapter 4.
Yeah, it might be, because now it'll be fun. Because I'm not scared of those conversations. So there's
still things.
There's still things, but it's less scary. It's less scary than it was because I understand lies.
And there's always going to be things.
Yeah.
And like that's the one thing that it's like, if anyone can take away from this podcast today, there's always going to be things. I have shortcomings. You have shortcomings. We are imperfect people. We are imperfect people who just fell in love. And our imperfections do spill out into our relationship with each other, with our kids, with our friendships. Imperfections spill out. It's okay, but what do we do with those imperfections when they do spill? Are we willing to work at them? Are we willing to discuss them? Are we willing to like repair and heal, or are we just going to hold on to everything and just be hurt and broken?
Yeah, no, I love, that's a great way to actually end the episode. And
we're going to talk about our other date.
Yeah, we are. We're definitely going to do it. So remember, not every fear is truth, right? Not every fear is truth, and I certainly know that. Not every assumption reflects reality, and healthy marriages require honest conversations
and work.
because they have a rhythm. Oh, see what I'm doing there?
Oh.
No, I'm not going to bring it back. All right, you guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Please let us know. Comment, like, subscribe, do all the things.
Share with your spouse. Share with a friend that's maybe going through the same things. And get 8 Dates by the Gottmans because it is an actually great book.
Great resource. See you next time.